Okay, so we're going to talk about area and circumference of a circle. So first of all, you need to know the formulas. So area equals pi radius squared, pi times r squared. Circumference we talked about previously in another video. You can either have 2 pi r or you can have pi d. Just an FYI, if someone asks you what pi, the symbol, actually represents, if you look at this formula right there, and we solve for pi, pi equals a circle's circumference divided by its diameter. So a lot of times you'll hear that pi equals the ratio of a circle's circumference over diameter. There are pi buttons on your calculator, which I would prefer that you use. If you don't, then I would take it out several places. That way you're not screwing up the rounding. So 3.14159 at least, or just use that pi button. Okay, so we have like a decimal format, or we also have something called the exact circumference. And what that means when it says exact circumference is that you leave pi in the answer. So you don't actually multiply it out. And I'll do an example of that here in a bit. So that means your answer might be 30 pi centimeters. You just would not multiply the pi out. So this would actually be what your answer would look like. Okay, so example 1. We want to find the area of a circle with a diameter of 7 centimeters. So you might have a word, or they might give you a diagram that looks something like that. Okay, so you might either have the words or a diagram. Either way, what you have to know is the formula. And what you also have to recognize is that I'm given the diameter. But in the formula, I need the radius. So you need to know the conversion between a diameter and a radius. So a radius equals half the diameter. So in this case, it would be, the radius would be 3.5 centimeters. So because I'm looking for the area, I'm going to go ahead and solve. Area equals pi times 3.5 squared. Do not forget that little squared. And I would type it in exactly like you see it. So on my calculator, I would find my pi button. So pi times 3.5 squared, and it comes out to 38.48. And because it's area, it is units squared. So just follow the directions when it says to round to the nearest tenth or to the nearest hundredth. Example 2. This one we're going to work backwards. So you are given the area of 156 centimeters squared. Find the diameter. So what I like to do is just start off by writing the formula down and plug in what I have or what I know. So I already know that the area is 156. Pi does not change. And I'm solving for r. So doing the algebra, I'm going to divide both sides by pi. Cause those to cancel or to divide out. So 156 divided by pi, and I get 49.66 I'm going to put in. keep in mind that is r squared. We need to solve for r, so we're going to take the square root of both sides. So I get about 7.05. So that is my radius. But have we actually answered the question yet? It says find the diameter. So I need to actually take this times 2 and get 14.1 for the diameter. So this would be my final answer, and I should label that as centimeters. So 2 questions on circumference next. So example 3, we're going to find the circumference. If the radius is 4.2 feet. I guess up until this point I've kind of assumed that you know what the circumference is. So I am going to draw a diagram and make this circle P. What we are looking for is how long is this? So it's actually a lineal measurement. So think of this as being a piece of yarn. And what we're doing is we're straightening out that piece of yarn. So we're trying to figure out how long is this, or in other words, how much yarn would have to be wrapped around the circle. That would be circumference. So I am going to look at the formulas because I know I have the radius. So I'm going to use the circumference formula that actually has the radius in it. So C equals 2 pi times my radius of 4.2. A common mistake is to square this. That is not true. That is not part of the formula. So in my calculator, I am going to type in 2 pi times 4.2, and I get 26.39. And because it is a lineal measurement, it is not a squared unit. And we did answer the question. Circumference, yes, did answer the question. And finally, last example. We are going to find the radius. If the circumference is 30 pi centimeters. So that means I'm being given the circumference in the exact measurement. Still going to use the same formula, 2 pi r, because I'm looking for the radius, so I might as well use this formula. So circumference equals 30 pi. I'm going to bring all my other stuff down. It's the radius that I'm solving for, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 2 pi all in one shot. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. 2's cancel. Pi's cancel. Pi's cancel over here. And you're left with a nice, neat 15. So, oops, I forgot my unit. So 15 centimeters equals the radius. There will be another video talking about arc length and area of a sector, which brings back circumference and area.